All right, team, welcome back to Plastic Surgery Untold, the greatest podcast in the world as voted by us. And for those of you that have been keeping count, if you take out some of our special edition stuff, actually episode number 50, you're welcome.
Boom, baby.
I think we went by the YouTube count. We went by the YouTube count because we've had a lot of special editions and other one-offs. So per YouTube, this is episode number 50. So boom, boom, big one. Yeah, big milestone for us. So far, a special milestone, we got the Quo Queen joining us today. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Bikini Butt, and I feel like talking about all butt stuff is pretty ironic and fitting for our 50th episode. We got to get back to where it started.
Yeah,
agreed.
You know, just finishing at the backside, if you will.
Yeah.
But before we get into the goodness here, let's get caught up in what everybody's doing a little bit. Austin's Most Beautiful Man or America's Most Beautiful Man. There's been some argument of your exact title, but please catch us up.
Yeah, it's still in the air. It hasn't been quite decided whether it's one or the other, but I'm hoping for the latter.
Yeah,
instead of the former.
I mean, as the people who said this on Instagram, as they said, why should you limit yourself?
Yeah. What? How can you tell me that the sky's the limit when there's footprints on the moon?
We've had to have that discussion with Celebrity before because he gave us the sky's the limit, quote, and then G. Bertha came back the next episode, said there's footprints on the moon, but that's cool if you want to limit yourself, Celebrity.
And that's how I roll. We just limit ourselves.
But what's going on in your life? Any new updates? Anything exciting, fun? What's going on?
So last episode, Sarah Mack took a photo of me so she could show it to Anissa. But I don't know if she ever actually showed it to her because I still haven't heard back.
So crickets.
Yeah. I think it's a no-go. I'm gonna have to cancel that reservation at Plank.
Can we do something here? Can we turn this into the first podcast match dating service? So if anybody is listening to our podcast right now and would like to set up a date, because would you? I'm gonna put Austin's Most Beautiful Man on the spot here right now. Can I get an agreement for you that and we'll have Sarah because I know you wouldn't trust the three of us. Sarah will be the screener, but if Sarah gives her approval, will you let us set you up on a blind date?
Sure.
Oh.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
So I'm very excited.
So let's set a few ground rules here before we jump into Bikini Butt.
Okay.
Must be female.
Fuck. Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But so if anybody is interested, they should slide into our DM, say, hey, I would like to be Austin's Most Beautiful Man.
I'd like to be considered.
Yeah, that's right.
Considered for just so we're clear, we're going to use that term to refer to G. Berto. I just don't want people to get confused. Celebrity's a taken man. Donald's Facebook says it's complicated, so we're talking about G. Berto here. But they can slide into our DM, say they would like to be considered for a blind date, and then maybe Sarah will. We'll figure out how to kind of funnel through the thousands of requests that we're going to get for this.
Like Plastic Surgery Untold, the Bachelor edition.
Ooh.
Well, now, do we
like
three
this.
still get to weigh in?
We can, but as a safety net, Sarah's going to be the
She's
kind
got to
of
be the ultimate pass-through.
What's the Bachelor? The guy that moderates the.
She's the cooler Chris Harrison. You're like Christina Harrison.
You can tell that I watch this every Monday night. You can tell I'm on.
Clearly.
Is it on Mondays? Is it on Mondays?
I believe so.
Something like that.
You're welcome.
Someday of the week.
Okay, I'm pretty excited about this. So we got to make sure we'll get this published on our Instagram too. So Plastic Surgery Untold, the Bachelor's Edition, matchmaking right here. Just before we jump in, give us the top 3 things you look for in a gorgeous woman. It doesn't have to be gorgeous because gorgeous beauty is in and out. So what do you look for in your life partner, if you will?
So stability.
Number one.
Nothing says red flags.
I went on Family Feud. I would not have guessed that one.
That would not have been my number one choice.
That's the one that you see pop up on the top, and you're like, "That's interesting."
If Mary would have asked me on our first date, "What do you like in a girl?" I would have been like, "Stability." She would have been like, "Where have you been?"
Referring to
we can't judge. Okay, stability.
Yeah, no.
Stability.
referring to mental.
Okay. So stability. What's number 2?
No, I'm just joking.
But for real.
But for real.
Gotta be stable.
No, someone who's ambitious, someone who
she got to have a job.
Preferably.
Motivated.
I'm done being sugar daddy.
Okay.
Okay,
but
so
yeah,
ambitious. What else?
No.
is good.
That's a good one.
Ambitious. I like to travel. Someone who likes to travel.
Okay.
Is there a specific age range that you typically do? I'm not trying to block out a lot of our audience, but I also want to be real too. You know.
Yeah. So like 22 to.
That's not age appropriate, Donald.
Isn't the old saying like half your age plus 7? Is that still a thing or no?
Let's go with that.
Is that
Okay.
because
So
you're
then what is that?
you're 42?
43.
43. So we'll say what 21 plus 7, 28? Should we round up to
Yeah.
29?
Sure.
28
round
to
down.
50.
No.
28
No, no.
to 50? You think
28.
that's fair?
28 to
To
38.
60?
How about
60?
38?
Okay, that was a big drop from 50.
So you are, but I just want to
Yeah.
clarify
Whoa,
for our fans,
38.
you're not even willing to date somebody your age?
Uh-oh.
Wow. How did this turn?
I'm
this
just,
did turn into The Bachelor.
I'm just asking the question, if you will. But is this because you're 40 but really going on like 31? Because you're extremely active, you're extremely successful for your age in that, but I think you're just trying to get somebody who's living life to their fullest as
Yeah.
yourself.
He's squirming in
Okay.
that seat over
A
Okay.
there.
little bit.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Is
okay.
it hot in
So
here?
can we
It's
say
like- it's
can
hot in
we
here.
say they can be over the age of 38 if they're living like a 38-year-old? You know, so you want somebody active and ambitious and strong and adventurous.
Maybe 38 is not like a hard limit, you know?
No.
Depends on the person.
This is
I
my
don't know about
favorite
50 though.
episode.
Okay.
This-
All right.
This
Well,
so far,
we-
this
we
this
could- we
episode
could-
is off to
we
a
could-
fantastic
we could
start.
spend a whole episode on
Yeah,
this, but
seriously. Lots to come.
so maybe we're gonna leave it at this. We'll have to post something on our Instagram about this. Maybe we'll do
I
some
like that.
clips. We'll do some things because we need some updates on this. But first episode of Plastic Surgery Untold, The Bachelor, Austin's Most Beautiful Man. Let's see. Maybe, and I'm gonna jump in for you so you don't have to do it. Maybe Sarah will reach out to your trendy therapist
Damn.
and get her to help go through some of these, so to get a little
like
bit of
that.
a woman's perspective,
Yeah.
because I know it makes G a little nervous if Celebrity and I were to do all the date setting up for him. Or would you trust me?
A little nervous is
Should we take
understatement.
Sarah? Should we take Sarah out? Should I just make the final decision?
A little nervous
No.
is,
You want-
is an
Huh?
understatement.
I feel like I should just make the final decision.
No.
I know you well.
You do know me. very well.
That happened
I'll
once
get
before.
your input. I feel like Mary and I could totally handle
I think
this, so.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's where we need to
Okay.
go with this.
That also
Absolutely.
happened once before, if
Okay.
I do recall.
Okay, let's get to Celebrity. What's going on in your life?
What's going on in my life? Oh man, a lot. Work
Okay.
work's just been busy. Things have been going 1,000 miles an hour. We're taking on a couple new clinics and a new surgery center. So things are busy. That's opening up in July. So it's just been going 1,000 miles an hour.
Boom. Tall Gamer, what's going on with you?
Yeah, so I alluded to it last episode, but I've been invited to be an advisor to South by Southwest Gaming. So
Well, last time we talked, you were still keeping stuff close to the vest here. You weren't letting us all in your nuggets. Are you ready to do a reveal, or is this
Well,
going to be later, closer to the date night,
that
or
is
what?
that is the big reveal, right? It's like
okay.
I'm being invited to be an advisor on the.
Oh, so you just blurted it out. There
Yeah.
really wasn't even a lead.
No, that was it.
Oh, okay.
Just throw it out there for the people.
Exciting. All right.
That's
You see,
exciting.
I think it's exciting. I don't know if you.
It's super exciting, but I thought you were going to make us work for it a little bit
No,
more. I
no,
didn't,
I'm
didn't
easy.
realize you were just going to throw it out there. Okay,
I'm
cool.
easy.
No,
What
that's
about
not-
you, man? What's
huh?
new with you?
Yeah, you never tell us about anything.
Nope. We're in our new office, which has been absolutely fabulous. Well, we do have a big announcement coming. I don't want to say quite yet, but
He is gonna
hopefully,
make us work for it.
yeah, no, yeah, something. I think you.
Is it a new lady in your life?
Huh?
Is it a new lady in your
no,
life?
Ooh.
not. Even more exciting than that.
More
Even
exciting?
more exciting
Whoa,
than that
all
for all the
right.
people listening.
I'm in.
So
this
there
has
is a new
been-
lady.
This has been nope. Same old nothing. But
Same old nothing.
Wait, so you're
But-
single?
yeah, but
Oh,
So
but-
should we have 2 bachelors?
that's why. I did.
Oh.
why don't we see how episode 1 goes? we can talk about season 2.
Who's
backpedal?
We talk about season
Backpedaled
2.
real quick out of that one.
Yep.
But we do have something super exciting for everybody listening. So we've actually film some content for this. Not ready to drop it and release it quite yet, but coming soon, coming soon. So I think this will be a great adjunct to this. It's been about a year in the making. So we'll
Very
leave it
cool.
on that note, but
Very
some
nice.
fun
Well,
stuff to come.
I'm excited to hear about it. So
not
Can't
quite as
wait for the
exciting
next
as the Tesla that you now sport around.
yeah,
but
we
it's
did.
pretty exciting.
I did tease that in the previous episode.
have we not
It's
talked about
not.
it?
No, it wasn't a
Oh,
Lambo.
you just dropped it for him.
No,
Oh,
it's
my
all
bad,
good.
dude,
We
my
we
bad.
ended up getting a Model Y Tesla, and I am now converted. I mean, at first I was not like a big Tesla guy, and now I'm like, man.
I mean, I want to describe it, but I don't want everybody to know who you are driving around.
Appreciate
but
it.
it is slick.
It's pretty slick, yeah. And of course, it's actually Mary's car. So she's just driving this thing around town. I'm stuck in mine, my old beater. So is
so
what it
we're
is.
gonna let it be.
Hey.
Anybody who wants to know what his old car is, let me know. You're not gonna feel that bad for him. Well, let's jump into this. I feel like we've had so much fun already. I don't know where we go from here, but
Me either.
let's talk about butt stuff.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Sarah,
It is speedo season.
But I'm gonna have ourselves before we talk about butt stuff. Can we talk about Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah. Number one, where'd you get the name Quo Queen? Two, what's been going on in your life since you've basically left us hanging cold for like 6 months here? We haven't talked to you since we Zoomed with you on COVID. What's going on?
It has been a long time. Yeah, a lot has changed. But you have seen a lot more of me lately because my practice has evolved, as y'all may remember from last time. You can find me on Instagram at Delivering Motherhood. So in the past, we've kind of referred to me that way. And I have been helping out with social media a lot, but now I get to kind of do everything at Austin Plastic Surgeons. So I help with social media. I get to help with nursing because I am an actual nurse.
A real life
And
nurse.
A real life nurse.
And a great one
which-
at that.
Thank you so much. And then now I'm getting to do injectables too. So yeah, I guess that's where Quo Queen came in. We brought on Quo recently. I know y'all already did a whole episode on that, and it's been super fun and exciting. But we've done a ton of it. So yeah. Great.
And just a quick, I know we're going to get into it, but what's been the response from patients and your experience with it? And maybe G can jump in a little bit too. I know he's been the center focus today, but Quo, how's it working? How do you like it?
Is that short for Quo Queen?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You're welcome.
It's been great. We've had some really good experiences. So Quo is, if you don't know, the first and only FDA-approved cellulite injectable. To get full results, you need a couple treatments. So we're finally getting around to those second and third treatments with our patients because we do them 3 treatments, 3 weeks apart. And we've been really impressed. I've loved it myself. I've seen some really awesome results. I've had some of my patients say it's almost like you're putting a filter over the butt. So who doesn't want that? So yeah, we've been loving it.
Nice.
I love filters. I've been playing with them. I realized I wore the same shirt to the gym like 2 weeks in a row. And I want people to think I was just stockpiling pictures and posting them. So I put a filter so people wouldn't know I had the same shirt on.
Well, you just gave yourself away.
But for those of you listening, don't tell anybody.
What a coincidence. I too wear the same shirt all the time to the gym.
You mean by the no shirt?
The no shirt.
Keeps it easy.
Gee, what about you? I know you've done a decent amount of Quo as well.
Yeah.
And
We brought it on a little after you guys. I think y'all were early adopters because you're a celebrity surgeon and super famous and everything. So we didn't
Maybe.
we didn't get access to it as early as you did. So I'm just now doing like my first round of patients. I haven't had anyone come back yet.
Okay. But did you like it? I mean, how did people tolerate it?
No, they tolerate it great. I mean, the bruising is real.
Mhm.
Like
Bruising is real. We
like
hear that all
it's
the time.
yeah.
But the pain is minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The only thing that, and I don't know if you guys see this or not, but the only thing that I've come across is one of my patients experienced a little bit of itching after treatment, but we treated her thighs and we treated it at a different dilution than I think you guys treat.
mhm.
And so I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but she had a little bit of itching. We gave her some topical steroid and she responded, really well to that.
I have not seen itching in our patients. Have you, Sarah?
I haven't either. as
But
of yet. So
But everybody's a little bit
little
different, even with
Yeah.
our surgery patients. And I feel like sometimes it could be any of and you know this better than I do is in the derm world. I mean, it could be anything, you know, a sensitivity to a soap after the
Mhm.
inflammation. It could have
Yeah.
been a fabric. Maybe we have all of our patients trying to do compression shorts if it's a
Yeah.
new fabric, if they used something different for their bruising. Sometimes
Yeah.
people can be sensitive. So
Yeah,
hard to know.
this one was interesting. She didn't itch when we treated her butt, but she itched when we treated her thighs at a different dilution. Yeah, so just a little tidbit.
And I think this is some of the exciting stuff about Quo is that we're just scratching the surface of that. And we'll jump into it now.
Pun intended.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, today's topic is called Bikini Butt, and I love this term. And we've started talking about it in our office because in the past we've talked about very specific treatments, BBLs, butt implants. You know, I think we've even talked about Sculptra for the butt. But today we're really kind of putting it all together because you know to get people, you know, when we say Bikini Butt ready, because you want it to look at its optimum. You know, and for everybody that's a little bit different in what that is. But there's typically more than one thing that needs to be done to get you to that perfect spot. And so, Sarah, do you want to jump off a little bit and tell us, you know, when we see patients, you know, things that you've seen, stuff that you've wanted to treat and how we do some of that? Because I know that you get stuck with me day in and day out.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. We have been, like you said, kind of combining some of our favorite treatments. So, as most of you probably know, Dr. Franco is referred to as the BBL King. So we get tons.
But now I'm going to be the matchmaker king.
Yeah, multiple
That
titles.
remains to be seen.
I mean, you are a man. To be determined. So we do get a lot of women coming in, you know, looking to transform the backside, if you will. So we have more ways to do that now. So we've been doing some pre-treating before the BBL with Quo, which has been really awesome. So you know, cellulite is caused by a fibrous band that's actually pulling down that skin. So if we are able to treat that band before we fill the butt with fat, you know, we've had some really amazing results with that. Do you feel like you've been able to actually get a little more fat in?
Yeah, I don't think this is one of the things that we're actually
Endgame?
doing. Yeah, we're actually doing this is TBD, you know, and so
Yeah.
we've actually started a study. We've been collecting data because this is one of the hardest part in anyone who's had a BBL, anyone who's looking into a BBL and done a little bit of research. One of the hardest parts is projection. And I think Celebrity, who's been in the surgery center with us, knows that we do all sorts of different things to really try and shape and get that butt into a good spot. But there's also the safety issue, right?
Right.
You know, fat goes
Totally.
into fat.
Yep.
We enjoy you know, avoid the muscle. We work with our anesthesia colleagues. And again, for anyone who didn't tune in 2 episodes ago, you know, we really work with them in terms of safety. There's some things, and again, hidden nuggets that they don't know you guys do is making sure that their muscles are reactive. So I know, and I have feedback if we're a little bit deeper, because it's been shown staying in that fatty tissue helps dramatically decrease that risk of fat emboli, which we worry about. But on the flip side, it limits that space that we can inject the fat into.
Right.
One of the theories that I have is that those fibrous bands, because if you look at people that have very flat buttocks, you know, they tend to have a little bit more cellulite and dimpling. And so,
Right.
you know, if you could help soften, release some of those bands, you know, can you get a little bit more roundness, protrusion? Because I think if people could change anything about their BBL, they wish they had a little bit more projection, a little bit more roundness. Some people are blessed to just have a little bit more of that. If you notice, people who tend to have very round butts tend to have very little cellulite, you know, and so I think there is some correlation there in terms of some of that. So preliminary from just a gut feeling, I think that it has helped. I don't want to give anybody the false illusion that we know this for a fact, but we're working on it.
Right.
You know, and hopefully
Exploring.
something that we'll
Yeah.
present next year at ASAPS is
Very
my
cool.
goal. So
Nice.
and so we'll share that with the world once we know. We know.
It's exciting.
That's awesome.
So, you know, and this is what this whole Bikini Butt is like, you know, what can we do to get people into a perfect spot? Because it's not just, you know, the volume in the butt. We talk about shaping, so the liposculpting. We talk about the Renuva J plasma if people need to do some skin tightening to get the waist in. You know, we even from a non-surgical and Quo stuff, we talk about Emsculpt. You want to talk about Emsculpt because it's skin, it's fat, it's tissue, it's shape, it's muscle, it's all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So our Bikini Butt special that we've kind of been talking about, and you'll hear us talk about more in the future, or a non-surgical butt lift, if you will, is combining Emsculpt with Quo. So, you know, you can treat the cellulite, but if you don't have a very strong butt muscle. Maybe it won't be as round or as shapely as you'd like. So Emsculpt is something that you can come into the office. You can do basically a super intense workout without having to actually do it in a 30-minute period. So you really work on that butt, grow the muscle, and then we also can treat the cellulite with the Quo. So we've found that the combo of those two is going to get you way better results than just one alone.
I haven't had the Quo, but I can speak to the Emsculpt, and it's the real deal.
But is it true that your wife tolerated a higher level of this?
Why do we have to do this again?
I actually
there's no need for this.
That. I was there and I did witness.
All I was trying to do was just let everybody know that the Emsculpt works, and you gotta take it there. You gotta
Don't you have an arm attachment for Emsculpt?
Ooh, dude, we've been holding out on you. We have been holding out on Celebrity. All this time you could have been like increasing that arm size. We were holding out. I think it does bring up to the point though of, we've already talked on just even these brief 10 minutes of how many different aspects there are to something as simple as you would think a butt, but we've talked about the fibrous bands that cause cellulite. We've talked about volume. We've talked about projection. We've talked about skin laxity. We've talked about muscle. And so it makes sense why there's so many different treatments that you can do for this. I think one of the things about Emsculpt, because I really like Emsculpt, but I think a couple things that people forget is it's just like working out, and Celebrity and Gilbert who actually do work out a ton in real life, besides their superhero profiles. It doesn't happen, muscle building doesn't happen overnight. And so,
Right.
I've really liked for people who do Emsculpt to do more membership type stuff, where they do an initial treatment and then continue, because just like regular workouts, like you can get a bump, but if you're not on it, I don't think people see as enough of a difference that they would like. Also, if you're doing this, but you're not doing anything else in your personal life in terms of enhancing your overall shape, figure stuff, I think you're going to see limited results.
Absolutely.
Totally agree with that.
We say that to our surgery patients too.
Yeah.
The better you that goes in, the better you that's going to come out.
Yeah.
And the better people do in terms of healthy lifestyle, working out, the better their results are going to be afterwards. Because there's so much that we can do, but it's a team effort in terms of this.
And don't you think, like, with when a patient, let's say you do a BBL and you've done Quo beforehand, you do the BBL, they are done with surgery. Now they've finished their recovery from the BBL. Working out, good diet, exercise, squats, Emsculpt program, membership, like those are only going to help their projection. That's not going to hurt their BBL.
100%. And we talk about this all the time, and Sarah can jump in anytime, but it's, I typically have people wait at least 2 months after a BBL to do something else, whether it's Quo, Emsculpt, even maybe a Sculptra or filler, then maybe Gilberto can help with some of that. But, let the dust settle. Let's know what we're talking about, because there's lots of little things that are going to change over that initial healing period.
Sure.
Also, too, we don't want to do anything to hurt the hard work that we've done already. 3, once you get to that point, again, because fat goes into fat and we're avoiding the intramuscular, if you make those muscles bigger, that's only going to push your butt out more and increase that overall shape and give you an even better result, which is going to be phenomenal. Also, if we're trying to treat you with Quo or something else, don't want to do anything until we kind of know where those spots are going to be. Gilberto, I don't know what you do in your practice. If people come in after a BBL, I know you guys don't do BBLs per se, but you guys do some filler for body part stuff. In our practice, we typically like them to be at least 2 months out, because again, those products are expensive, and we really want to put them in the spots that are going to make the biggest difference. And it's sometimes hard to know until the dust settles a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. So we have some patients coming in asking about treatment for the butt. The patients we typically are seeing are more patients that are maybe not quite ready for a surgical approach.
Okay.
And so they're looking for other ways to do it, minimally invasive, like a minimally invasive procedure, or, non-invasive procedure if possible. So that's kind of what we're seeing. But to your point, I do think that there are some things that can be tweaked, once they come in post-treatment, like post-surgery. And to that, I would ask you, what would you do? Like what kind of filler treatment or what kind of injectable would you use? I remember you used to use a lot of, was it Renuva?
Yeah, there's a couple different things that we still use, and I just don't want to miss a point that you brought up, because some of the stuff you've talked about in terms of doing it even before they're ready for a BBL,
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that. I think anything, and this goes to what celebrities talking too, about being as good a shape as you can before.
For sure.
So, if you treat somebody with Quo and do all their treatments ahead of time, if you treated some dimples, a little skin laxity or something, from a dermatologic side ahead of time, I think all that stuff is completely appropriate and okay as long as people know what they're getting. I actually think it's helpful.
Yeah.
Anything you can do to pre-treat that butt is only going to make your results better.
Yeah.
Even if people did Emsculpt ahead of time, because again, it's different areas. So I just don't want people to miss that little nugget that you brought up, that pre-treating people ahead of time is worthwhile.
Yeah.
Do you disagree? I mean, it sounds like that's what you're
that's,
you're alluding to.
So that's kind of what I was alluding to, but get more to the point that we just don't get the same kind of patient demographic that you have. Patients that we see that come in asking for treatments for the butt typically are more minimally invasive. But I agree. I mean, anything you can do to prepare for that treatment ahead of time is only going to make the results look nicer, and it's going to give you a more effective outcome.
And then, to your point about what do we use a couple different things. Just depends on what people are trying to achieve. I would say that probably the three most common products that we use, and they all have plus and minuses for butt body kind of augmentation, would be Renuva, which is the processed fat. We cut back a little bit on it, as they just had a supply demand that was difficult to achieve during COVID. So we had a little bit harder time getting the product. Product that was available was being allocated to burn units. It's also used to help with that when people have had to have skin grafts and so forth. Can't really argue with that.
Yeah.
They probably should get it before us. I think that's pretty reasonable.
I think that's fair.
I don't think any of us would disagree.
No.
Another product is Sculptra, which I do like. Whether it's any of these products, got to be a little careful, as you've probably seen and discussed with a lot of your patients. These aren't equivalent to a BBL, so got to be very real about that. Radius, a dilute radius, is another product I think we've talked about. I like that as well. There's plus and minuses to all of them, and definitely something we can talk about at a later date. But I think all those are good options. Sarah, what about you when you're treating people for butt and you're talking either cellulite or Emsculpt stuff? How do you go about kind of coaching them or educating them on options and kind of the treatment kind of pathway, if you will?
Okay, yeah. So when they come in, what's really helpful is wish pictures, I guess. We talk about that all the time. So just getting an idea of what your patient is looking for, so you can tell them, number one, if it's realistic.
I think that's a huge one with butts.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge one with butts.
Yeah.
Because it's huge.
Because sometimes they want something really huge, and maybe that's not realistic, or
or we got to talk butt implants, fat transfer, multiple steps, and if somebody brings in a picture, you may right off the bat be like, "Hey, Sculptra, Radius, none of these things are going to ever get close to this." And I think it's nice to just have that frank talk right off the bat.
Yeah.
Or Emsculpt. If somebody wants a major change, Emsculpt's probably not going to be the procedure for them. Would you agree?
Right. No, absolutely. So just first of all, talking about your goals, so we can talk about what's realistic, and just coming up with a plan specifically to them, because everybody's treatment's going to be individual, right? Some, not all of this is going to apply to everyone. With the Quo, I think what's super important that we've talked a lot about is, it's going to help. It's not going to make you have this perfectly smooth butt, or baby butt smooth, like you like to say. But, we can really treat those true dimples versus skin laxity, right? So just talking about that. And then just kind of making a treatment plan. So if we're going, what's more important to you? If you want to take care of all that cellulite first, then we'll do your 3 treatments of that first. If you want to do one, and then we can get you on the Emsculpt train, whatever. It just really depends on what their goal is. So just starting with that is super important.
I think that the thing that's important is figuring out, and we've talked about this with facial fillers and stuff, when we episode prior, we were talking about kind of that whole lower face and how sometimes it's, steps. And I think that's super important, because it's just, can't do everything at once. We got to be systematic and smart about it. And this is what you're talking about. Hey, if you're going to do a BBL, let's try and get a Quo treatment in before it. Let's do the BBL. We'll do some of those other ones. Let's wait to decide on Emsculpt or, Sculptra or some of these until we kind of know where the dust settles. And then we can see whether we make a right or a left turn here in terms of where to go from there. Because I've even had some patients that have done Quo, and then we've come back and done like Sculptra to just try and tweak up some of those spots just a little bit, because as I think both you and Gilbert agree, Quo's great, but it's, if you got some really deep dimples, it's not going to give you a baby bottom smooth butt, and so it'll get better, but won't completely go away. And there's ways we can tweak them, but there is a limit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think what's super important is talking about recovery and with the bruising with the Quo, we've got to be on it with the arnica. I know we recommend both the tablets and the arnica cream. So just really taking care of that bruising so that you can recover and have really good results.
Because if you got a great butt, you want to show it off.
What have y'all noticed downtime wise with the bruising?
So, I mean, pain-wise stuff and physically, you can do anything you want. Sure. It's just if you're wearing,
But how fast can I get back into my banana
mankini?
Banana hammock, yeah.
I'd say 2 weeks is probably pretty realistic.
Okay.
It's worse the first treatment. Yep. People tend to have less bruising the treatments after that. I think we talked a little bit on the initial podcast about Quo. There's some mechanics of why people get the bruising. It's not from the trauma of the injection. It's actually the enzyme that's breaking down some of the walls that get some of that. But I think the 2 weeks is real. The better you can be about pre-treating, being on it right away, the better you're going to do with that for sure. Yeah. I think one of the things I'd love for you guys to jump in terms of it's the whole roadmap. I don't think people realize how complex the butt was and how many little things go into getting you a great result, and sometimes just the limit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know.
I definitely agree. I think we've talked a bit about it tons of times about, how it's all the way from the waist to the actual projection of the butt to filling those hip dips and making that hourglass figure. And then you're wanting to build muscle to add projection too. And then you've got cellulite and dimpling. Now you've got Quo as an adjunct to kind of solve some of those problems too. So I think what I like about your approach to the butt is that it's very holistic. You're looking at the entire thing from this 30,000 foot view instead of just being okay, I just want a big butt. And that's where I think exactly. And that's why I think your practice is very different from a lot of other, cosmetic practices that I've seen around the country where they've got one answer. Let's put fat in and let's make it as big as possible. It's that's not always the best answer. That's an answer, but it's not always the best.
And sometimes people have to pick and choose, and you can't do everything right away because, I love the Renuva J plasma help tighten the skin. To your point, the more you can snatch that waist down, the better your shape is going to look, the better your butt's going to look. Round 2 BBLs, I feel like we've heard more of that in recent time. I think as some people look for a little bit more dramatic, that may or may not be in your cards. If there's not enough fat, then may not be something. Maybe something that we do a little targeted round 2. So, and again, just depends on where people's overall goals are. Some people it's BBL and then a tummy tuck, because they still have some loose skin, and it's just trying to figure out the best path to it. And sort of like we talked about in our facial stuff, there's never a single answer that's best for everybody. And sometimes it may not just be in your lifestyle in terms of downtime, because maybe you're like, hey, I can't have surgery right now, but I want something that's going to make me look good for the summer, at least, or a little bit better. And then, next year we can talk about doing something else, and we definitely have a lot of those patients. It's okay, let's do this, or here's my budget for now. It's just, we've got a lot of things going on. This is what I can do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have options to be able to give them and really customize a plan for them. Hey, maybe we can start with this. And then in a year, when you have more time or over the summer, we can do this and schedule it out. And then also, I think what's super important is when they're investing so much into this is really maintaining those results. Like you were talking about, just being healthy and working out. And maybe if you're on a muscle membership, continuing that, or starting the Emsculpt muscle membership after you do a BBL, just to really maintain those results and protect that investment.
For sure.
And that's why I think the better shape people come into surgery, the better you're going to do, because, last thing we want is for you to do these surgeries and then, lose a bunch of weight and lose some of that fat or those type of things. So I think that would be, is super, super important for them.
Yeah.
One of the other things is also if you're splitting out your procedures like that with Quo, aren't there sometimes multiple sessions that you'll have anyway. So you can take time to have those sessions in between the Emsculpt membership and all that stuff too, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Typically, it does take multiple treatments, at least 3 weeks in between. But we do have patients that, they've got a pool party, in between their 2 treatments. So if we need to spread them out more, we definitely can.
The amount of time and which procedures you can combine just really depends on the specific procedure. The nice thing with Emsculpt is you tend to not need too much time other than the BBL. That one, can be combined with a lot of stuff as it's focusing a little bit on the deeper layers and not as destructive to other stuff, but no question. What, any other take home messages for all your fans out there?
From me?
Yeah.
The Quo Queen.
Yeah.
From the Quo Queen?
You're the star of the show. You're not just the matchmaker.
Oh, well, yeah, multiple skills. Just like we've kind of talked about, when you come into the office, just really be clear about what you're looking for so that we can do our best to come up with a plan for you. Because I know we've said this a million times, but we can really individualize your plan and combine, multiple procedures to get you the best results possible. So don't limit yourself and be open to options.
And I think be real that it may be a process.
Absolutely.
It may be a real process.
It takes time. Yeah. Unfortunately, like we said, it's not a quick fix. So enjoy the process, enjoy the little improvements and just take your time to get where you're going.
What do they say? Enjoy the ride?
Enjoy the ride.
Is that a right? I mess up statements all the time. Is that a real one?
No, it is. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
That's why you're the quote king.
You are the quote.
What's a good behind the bovine nugget that in terms of bikini butt ready that people might not know that makes them look absolutely fabulous? Is there a little nugget? I got a backup one in case you can't think of one on the spot.
Like something people may not know about butts?
Yeah.
In general? Anything?
Any little butt nugget you'd like to drop?
He was going to say butt nugget.
You'd like to drop?
Okay. Did you know that the reason, so women tend to have larger butts than men. Do you know why?
I don't.
No.
Because of estrogen. So guys tend to gain it more in their abdomen. And they think that might actually be why women live longer. So sorry, guys. But we are blessed in the butt.
It's also,
area.
why they get more cellulite.
That's true. That's true. And thankfully, we can help. We can help with the quote.
I think the other nugget that people don't know is that we've got the greatest bikinis in the world. So if you've already had a bikini butt by us, you got to be sporting it.
That's a good one. Yes, please let us know if you need one.
Can we do a little quote of the day?
Yeah.
Anybody? Anybody? I know Celebrity, has been worn out since he's hosted his episode.
Oh, yes. So rough.
That or he's been driving around in the Tesla, all night.
Or his beater.
So got one from Henry Ford. If I had asked the public what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse.
Boom.
How about that?
I like that a lot. I think that speaks to being or to ingenuity in general and coming up and being creative and solving a problem with looking through a slightly different lens than the average person. I mean, Tesla, perfect example, right? I mean, Elon Musk revolutionized the way that we look at electric cars. 10 years ago, we thought electric cars, nobody's going to want to drive that around. So just simple idea like that and way to fix a problem.
Or bikini butts.
Bikini butts.
5 years ago, would you have thought we'd be talking about this whole roadmap to the perfect butt? Like people would have thought that was crazy. And now it's like, hey, yeah, want to look good, especially here. If you're living in Austin, Texas right now, it's 98 degrees. So you gotta show that butt off. So
that's right.
Boom,
That's
boom,
exactly
boom.
right.
Last little things before we wrap this up. Don't forget, and we'll do some posts about it. First ever plastic surgery, The Bachelor. So that's coming up soon. Sarah's going to help us with that, and then we'll get some updates on these first dates. Do we have to limit to only one, or can we maybe set up 3 blind dates and see if there's a match made?
I think we got to have multiple lined
rounds.
up.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
and
maybe
I think
should we start with a virtual and then in person? Is that too much? Like
Maybe some coffee dates. I always love first dates, I love coffee dates for like a first blind date or something.
Or do we have 5 of these young ladies come to the office for a group date? a mixer, if
Oh,
you
wow,
will,
group date.
Ooh.
and
What did I get myself
and then we
into?
can we kind of see where the chips fall at the end of the
Mix
day.
and mingle. Okay.
That is a
These are
terrible idea, and I love it.
Let's maybe we'll
brainstorm.
We'll work
And-
on this.
yeah.
To be determined,
more
but
DVD coming.
DM us, Austin Plastic Surgeon, if you would like to be considered.
Awesome. I didn't even know what to say on that note.
Yeah.
Quo Queen Sarah, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
Don't be a stranger. Hopefully you come on a little bit more often.
I'd love to. Thanks for having me.
I would like to thank all of our listeners for joining in. We truly, truly appreciate you guys downloading us. We actually got ranked as one of the top 10 medical podcasts not too long ago. So that
Very
was super
cool.
exciting. So
Thank
thank
you
you for
guys.
anyone that
Wait,
voted
is
for
that
us.
medical and not comedy?
Nope, not comedy. Thank you. Plastic Surgery Untold, greatest podcast in the world, as voted by us. We appreciate it, guys. We'll see you. Bye.
See you.